Hey guys, I want to do a very short video on a project that I am really excited about. It's what I call 3D adaptive trading technology. Now I realize that's a mouthful, but just to keep things short here, to me technology is it can comprise of a strategy, a software, a methodology, tools, anything that can help bring about a desired result. And as traders, we want to make money. That's the only reason we do this. It's to make money. Now, the big challenge in trading, obviously, is okay. You have to identify trends. Okay, and most systems or methodologies out there involve trend following, but the markets only trend about 20% of the time. And then the rest of it is very either range bound or just very choppy. And it's even more so in the summer months that we're having right now. But to me, I don't want to just be hunting for trades that are happening during the trends. I want to be able to trade choppy markets, trading range, and trends. So that's all about what this new technology that I've developed does for me. So as I say, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I'm going to show you kind of stripped down version. Now just before I get into it, the bottom of this I have this indicator. Okay, this is sort of the heart and soul of this. It's called the market tops and bottom. What it does is it adapts to the markets. All right, so sometimes if the market is in a trend, it's going to be, the ranges are going to be expanding. But if we're in a short trading range market, the ranges are going to be a lot smaller. So you need something that adapts. And this is something unique because if you use like trending indicators, they only work when the market's really moving and opening up. Okay, and then other things like, let's say, the RSI, stochastics, and so forth, they only really work when you've got a trading range, so they have limitations. This overcomes it because it adapts to the markets, but I'm not going to get into that too much. So let me just show you a few examples. This is the Euro USD, and just to be very clear up front, this only works on MT4. Okay, it's not a trading robot. All right, it doesn't spit out signals, that generates money for you while you're drinking Mai Tais on some tropical beach. Okay, what it does is it's a tool to give you lots of high probability entries, and then it's up to you to decide to take them or not. Okay, and also there are let me think, 4 other parts to this, but I've removed all these because I don't want you to get all confused and try to figure out how everything works, because you won't know what to do with it. Okay, and just also to be clear, this one part is highly effective on its own, but you still need some kind of precautions and safeguards. That's what's built into this whole methodology, right? So anyway, these arrows are generated by the software. You can see this is the market's unfolding live. It's Tuesday, July 7th. Okay, it's almost 9 o'clock a.m. New York time. It's recently generated a buy signal on this. It's a 30-minute short, right? You can see here, sell signal here. It didn't catch this longer than a 30. Sell signal here. And reason I'm just scrolling literally backwards is because a lot of times what people will do is they'll only cherry pick examples here and there. And so of course they don't show you the ones that don't work. So you can get an idea. Now, one thing to point out is just because I see an arrow doesn't mean I jump in, because sometimes what will happen, for example, if you just jumped in on this particular bar here, I mean, the market only went down like 18 pips against you, but I'm always saying, okay, I want to make sure that I'm not catching a falling knife in this particular case, or I'm not trying to sell a top that's going to keep going. All right, so I have some tools that helps me just filter this out so I don't enter prematurely, right? And another thing I want to point out is the reality of trading, and what a lot of people don't talk about is you could look at this chart and say, oh, great signal, and then your eye says, oh wow, okay, if I got in over where the arrow is, it eventually went up 76 pips to the top. Well, first of all, I'm not going to pretend and say you're going to get 76. There's no way, because if you're sitting in this thing is grinding sideways for several days. So depending on what type of money management you use will depend on what you're going to end up with, okay? Same thing here, all right? Just because it had a sell signal up here doesn't mean you're going to get all this. It depends on what type of money management you use, all right? But you will, the great thing is you're going to get very good accurate signals, and you should be able to grab a nice piece. And what I mean by that is this trade went 134 pips from top to bottom. Did you think you could maybe get 40, 50 out of that? Okay, this was a great trade. So it's not that you're going to catch everything, but if I can get you in there with a lot more ease, make 30, 40, 50, 60 consistently, then, you know, I've done my job. Here's one that you would have got stopped out. Okay, I'm not looking to see if there was confirming things, but you know, you'll get stopped out from time to time, and you can see that it did eventually go its way, but it's one of those things sometimes you can get in a little prematurely. But we did have a beautiful signal up here. You know, that ran like 78 pips before you had this sell signal up here. And here's the thing that's more important than anything is that if you're a trend follower, you wouldn't have thought of going long here, right? Also, if you're a trend follower, you wouldn't think of selling here. Okay, now this is not the bar that you get in, guys. Okay, you're going to be getting more over here, all right? So the important thing to note is this thing catches counter trend and trends. All right, that's very unique. Okay, so you can see it caught. Not all trades run you know, as much as we like, and we don't know which ones are going to run and which ones aren't. Okay, so you can see I just literally went from one side of the screen to the other before I ran out of signals. Let's say you're a swing trader and you only want bigger trades, right? Let me just get rid of this. I'm not sure what I was measuring back here. We had a particular signal here. It went up a ways, but then eventually came down, but you would have grabbed a piece of that. You know, and I'm not going to once again mislead you and say, oh yeah, you could have hung in there and then got out up here, all right? Now in the 4 hour, you can see we didn't get anything on this whole run up. But if I were to mark this out, right, on some of these swing lows, odds are if you went to a 60-minute, right, and you can see this thing gets lots and lots of trades, and obviously the faster the time frame, the more signals. In other words, say you drop to maybe a 15, you might get this short, all right? So here's the deal. You can get ones, this would be a trend following, right? But then it starts to get ones that go the other way as well. The software doesn't get locked into what it thinks. In other words, we form an opinion, we think, oh, it's a trend, then we only look for trends. This doesn't care. This is a situation. You didn't, you know, it printed an arrow here to sell, but you didn't get a signal. All right. And what I mean by that is, yes, the arrow was there, but that's only step one. That's the initial kind of get ready phase. You have to get a confirmation. You wouldn't have got it on here. This is one. Yes, it did go your way a little bit, but then it quickly reversed. So it might have been you got a few pips, or it was just a break even. And this is why I want to have confirming, you know, some extra confirmation. If you just jumped in the area here, you would have only taken like 22 pips of heat, but I'm always saying, can I get in better? And then eventually this did get, I mean, you can see if we mark that. And also this pops up like it's an alert. It says, okay, there's an arrow forming on that particular time frame in that particular pair. So if I put this here, let me just squash things together. I mean, that was the beginning of like a huge move up. Okay. I mean, that's 500 pips. Now we did on this hour time frame have counter trend trades to that as well. But then let me go back. This was that area I initially marked out where I said, okay, if you drop to a quicker time frame, you'll get a trade, and yes, you did here. Now let's do something real quick. Let's just say, what about gold? All right, a lot of people like to trade gold. Same deal. Let me first go to, sometimes trading the metals, it can be a good idea to, let's see, let me just blow this up here. Or actually what I want to do is, I want to do a real buy and hold on the weeklies on the gold. So it caught this big move down off the bottom way back in 2018. Eventually it had a sell signal up here. All right, it went down for a little while. Then it didn't pick up anything on the weeklies, right? But if you did this, you drop down to the daily. Then you can see that it got that big segment down there. This didn't get filled, okay, even though you had the arrow. Let's go back to that weekly a second to show you the big moves. Sell signal up here, right? And then I just want to reiterate this. You have to decide how much you're going to get on this. It's easy for me to print these charts out and say, oh yeah, look at gold. It went up from, 1,076 up to, whatever that is, like $300, somewhere in that neighborhood. Say you would have got it. No. Depending on how long you're willing to hang in there and what your goals are will depend, how much you're going to get. My job is to help you get a good piece of that. All right, that's what the software is all about. Same thing here. This was a nice big drop, but the reality of trading is, if you look in here, it had a big, like in other words, it goes down, right, and then has a big pullback. So if you're running a trailing stop, you might have got stopped out here with a profit, but you wouldn't have necessarily got in. But then, of course, if we switch to, say, let's go back to the maybe a daily, you might have caught that pullback down. So on the daily, there was nothing here, and now a 4-hour chart wouldn't, probably would catch it, but the data doesn't go back that far. And let's go back to a weekly real quick here. So you get the idea, okay? You get more than enough places to take trades. Sometimes they go into like kind of a momentum breakout, like this particular thing. I mean, what trend following system would think of going short up in this area? Okay, then eventually it starts to kind of find a new like double bottom here, takes a piece up there, sells at this sort of double top, nails this low down here for, it's running for what, a couple of years up this way. And then I want to keep this video short. Let's just pull up one other pair at random here that people like to trade. Now let's see. All right, so let me, this is the pound US dollar. Use that one because a lot of people like to trade it. Now most of you are not going to use weekly charts, okay? But you can see the arrows. So the way I will use the arrows on these big charts is I'll say, you know what, because I know these arrows are very accurate. If I know that let's say you're back in this area and the market's falling, I know that I was generated a sell arrow on the weekly. I can drill down to a faster time frame to look for trades in that direction. Same thing here. When the market had a blue arrow up, I'll start to switch to the fast time frames, like say the 4 hour, 1 hour, see if I can get some pieces of that up. Okay. This is a situation, okay, you don't get in once again. Okay, I have some tools here that help me get more into this area here. This is a trade that wouldn't have got filled if you're trading exclusively off of the weekly. All right. Now let's go to something more reality for a lot of you. Would be the 1 hour. It helps filter out some noise. Okay. You can see nothing new on the 1 hour chart as far as buy signals lately. What happens if let's just mark that out real quick. Go to 30-minute. Did catch a signal down here. Okay, that was a really nice one. Caught a signal down here, but wouldn't have got filled till over here. This is one basically you probably would have been scratched out on this one. Situation here where eventually you would have got filled in this area. It goes down, I don't know, like 20 pips or something like that, and eventually you would end up with just a couple pips on that one. This was a beautiful one here, caught this double bottom, caught a short, long, so you can see it goes both ways. And this overcomes the limitations of traders once again getting this tunnel vision where they're so locked into saying, oh, it's an uptrend, 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 that they completely miss the clues that the market's collapsing and going the other way. So the software doesn't care. And you can see, I'm not going to just show you all the big trades. Sometimes you'll get this situation where it gets the arrow, you'd be filled over in this area here, but it doesn't go your way right away. Eventually it does go up like, I don't know, 20, 30 pips, but then it comes down, okay? This is another one. It did catch his bottom here, but it's not, you don't know that this could have been a situation where it ran up 200 pips from here. You don't know, but at least it gets you in. You get a sell signal, and this is also the reality of trading here is you get a nice sell signal, but on this white bar, it comes back to your entry point. You may have got stopped out at break even depending on how tight your stop is. Now, if your stop was a lot looser, then you'd catch a nice big piece of that, right? So anyway, I'm keeping this video, I want to keep it relatively short, but I just wanted to give you a sneak peek. And then just to wrap this up, what I'm going to be doing soon, here it is, it's July, summer's flying by. I'm going to be doing what I call a beta launch. Now, a beta launch basically means that the software, all the training module videos are ready to go. All right, once again, I've been developing this for several years. So I call it beta because I want to make sure that you all understand this completely and get the most out of it. So you might, after going through the video, say, hey, Jeff, I don't understand this concept, or I need more clarification. Can you make this more clear? Or you may say, hey, it's all great. So I need some people in the room that they can give me feedback as far as, is there a better way to kind of learn the material? All right, I think we should be good to go. And the beta, as a beta kind of a person, you're just going to get in at a much better price than when I officially release this thing. There's not going to be any kind of weird pricing games or anything like that. You will get a very nice discount for being an early adopter. So anyway, with that said, I will be filling you in more as the summer goes by. Until then, stay safe, stay profitable.